So, Sonal, tell me something. When you finished NIT and you did graphic design, the reason for you to go on to advertising, was it because graphic design was too hard and too difficult to sustain?
I love it. Now, this is called a roast. Okay, design could have never been hard for me because I learned from you.
All right, that's the back answer.
How could it be hard for me? I learned from you, and so I think, I went into advertising because besides design and visual communication and creativity, one of the things that I've always loved is theatre, performance arts and all that. What I loved about theatre always was the fact that as an actor or a director or even as a writer, one is constantly trying to get into other person's shoes, trying to live the life that the character lives before actually working on it. And that's the thing that I thought advertising would give me when kind of communicating to a specific target audience. You have to kind of know what makes them cry, what makes them laugh, and I guess it happens even in design, in all fields, but I thought advertising, might give a little more of an opportunity to me.
So it would be out of place to ask you the next question, which is that when was the last time you did an artwork? Essentially, was it the time when you did the needle and thread for Lift, or did you do anything after that?
I did many artworks after that.
Really?
Yeah, very many. The good thing was that, again, what NIT had taught, what you had taught. Let me tell you a story, right? He has not yet fulfilled his promise to sending me to his RISD. He had told me that if I am able to match a certain color, right, in a poster design that I was doing with him, he will send me to RISD. I did that and he said, brilliant, but he forgot about RISD.
I'll tell you what.
So I'm saying with all that learning, it was kind of easy when I got into advertising to work on various artworks. And that's the time that I worked on that needle and thread for Lift also.
That's right. But tell me, one of the reasons why I did not send you to Rhode Island was because you got so involved in that Fauji and all that with Shah Rukh Khan. And then you also decided that you are not going to follow acting because you wanted it, Hollywood was not big enough for both of you. Is it you and Shah Rukh?
Bollywood, you mean?
Bollywood, yes. Is that true, really?
Yeah, that's true, because I thought advertising was something that I was really enjoying. And we were shooting in Agra for one of the episodes of Fauji. And I kind of, I had worked out my dialogues, and rehearsed and all that. And we had a scene with Shah Rukh. And I realized that he was doing it extremely easily compared to me. I prepared and worked and made those faces at the camera. And I realized that the way acting comes so easily to me, right, to him, advertising and creativity comes really easily to me. So maybe let him continue in acting, and I'll take my road to advertising.
I think that generosity of yours, did it actually help you by getting him sometimes acting in your ad films free of cost?
Not really.
No.
I did not end up doing too many ads with him.
Okay.
Right? But he does say that we should work on a project together.
Oh, he does? All right. What is it in advertising that has... Tell us an incident where you have actually thrown up your hands in frustration, wanted to tear your hair, because you seem to have reached everywhere at the top. But you have these feelings or not?
Of course I do.
So please tell us, man.
I lost my dad at a very early age. This was Hasanpur. And there were 6 of us, and my mom took us to our Nani's place. And I saw this, my mom and my Nani, dressed in that white saris. and walking down Phulatti Bazaar in Agra, like big warriors, right? And everybody was shit scared of them, the shopkeepers and everybody. And I used to think that in the way these people conduct themselves, with complete calm, right? And so much of, calm and composure amidst any kind of problem, taught me a lot of things, just observing that. So when I face any kind of problem in advertising, I realize that at the end of it all, it's just advertising. Nobody's dying, right? So that's one. Second part is that you tear your hair on two counts. One is when you don't come up with the right idea, because every time, and that's another thing that kind of design studies taught me, is that you look for perfection in everything. You look for everything has to be right, right from the kerning of typefaces to bigger strategic things about an ad. So you tear your hair on that when you don't get an idea, or when something that you feel is really good is not being bought by the client. I've always realized that the one way to get over this, right, which is the correct way all the time, is that in every kind of interface, there's a client and there's you as the designer or communicator. I think most of the times problem happens when we look at it from only one point of view, which is we are so married to our design or our artwork or our ad, we are so much in love with it that we don't want to hear any kind of things being said against it or it being rejected. But when you start to see it from the other point of view, that any piece of design, whether it's an identity, whether it's a big campaign, it's not actually that identity or a campaign or that photograph with a headline or a film or a digital banner. It's not that. It's actually a solution to a business problem, the client's business problem. And I've realized that every time I see it like that, I realize that I'm solving a business problem. And if you start to look at it like that, I've realized.
Can I just interrupt here and say, your task is really not secluded only for creativity, but also management, accounts management, like that. Not dual purpose.
I think any creative person, the moment he's in the business of commerce, if he's fine artist, maybe it's fine, but whether you're a designer or an architect, your responsibility is not just for creating a great design or coming up with a great solution. I think responsibility also lies in selling that piece of work. Now, selling might require trying to understand not just the client's problem, but even the client, What is it that he's seeking as a person, as a business, So that's where maybe, let's say, the other disciplines come in, whether you call it account management or account planning. So I guess any creative person, especially in advertising, I have experienced, because that's what I've been in for the last 3 decades, is that any good creative person has to be an amalgamation of all three. You have to have those qualities which make for a great account management person. You have to have the qualities that make for a great account planning person. Somebody who kind of minds insights, who kind of looks at target audience and sees what moves them, what makes them laugh or cry, besides being just creative.
So therefore tell me, what is the weightage you give for, let us say, research versus intuition?
Research before a solution is done, not after the solution is done. Huge weightage. Because there are sometimes we deal with target audience that you know very well because you've lived that life. It's a product that maybe you yourself are using. But there are times that you deal with products or ideas that are going to a target audience that you've got no clue about. And that's when any kind of research, deep down research, going and talking to them personally becomes hugely important. Because all that then leads to intuition. And that leads to the leap that you take. And this is exactly what you taught us. This is what design process is, right?
Tell me something. Very often you have mentioned in your talks and writings about that advertising, understanding advertising is outside the four walls, that the environment plays an extremely important part. So apart from having these incredible wide parties which you might go to check out the environment, what actually do you sort of sniff around?
I feel blessed that as a person I've always liked people, and I'm an extremely curious person. One thing that I love doing is that anybody that I meet, whether I'm in a taxi, whether I'm meeting a shopkeeper, whether I'm meeting a colleague, whether a new person has come into office or I've joined a new office, or whether I meet somebody on the flight, I'm asking that person questions, right? I'm curious about the person, in terms of where he comes from, what he does. So I think curiosity is one thing, right? The other thing is that experience, going outside, experiencing what moves people in today's times and what moves people, the specific people that you're speaking to. And that comes only by going out.
Your advice to young people has been try and find a mentor to be able to help you in the first steps. And I think you talked about 3 people who really have been great mentors for you. And I would like you to sort of in one sentence on each explain what is it that they contributed in terms of your personal development.
What I learned from Piyush actually is how to distill the most complicated into the simplest words. And one of the lines that he always uses is "Yare batao moti baat kya hai?" Which means that what is the essence at the end of it all. So that's something which is simplifying the most complex of briefs. Right? That discipline of simplifying is something that is one thing that I kind of learned from Piyush. Neil French, fantastic craftsman, and in terms of crafting. And I learned both from Neil French and from Kaiming. Kaiming is now our global creative director also, global creative chief of Ogilvy. From both of them, the learning was that at the end of it all, and it's kind of seems like a very simple and apparent thing, but it's something that we keep forgetting all the time. That an idea is only as good as its execution, And this is something that I learned in NID also, but this is one thing that I find is that I've always believed. When it comes to great work, execution has to be absolutely top class. As much or maybe more work needs to get into execution than when in the ideation process.
The other thing I wanted to check out was really you worked in 3 countries or maybe perhaps more also. Were there any kind of adjustments you had to do to be able to understand the work ethic and so on and so forth? Because I think it's a different cup of tea.
Yeah, in a way it is, but fortunately, the first place that I went to work, first time that I went overseas to work was Malaysia. I kind of knew that 8 or 10% of population was an Indian population, but even the Malay culture was very much like the Indian culture, big families, bonded families. So, as a result, Malaysia didn't seem too alien to me. So that was good that the first country that I went to had kind of ethos which was similar to India. And everybody was familiar with the country also. So that was one. The other was that I went there as a creative chief. So as a creative chief, the idea was to build a team that is good with all these things. So I had local Malaysians in the teams. I had a couple of foreigners also come in. So I built a team which was not just to do with great execution that I talked about, but great thinking and great strategy and great creative work. So that was there. And then when I went to Singapore, again the thing was similar. But I realized that although I went to countries where the ethos were kind of similar to India, but I realized that any country that you go to, there are many insights that are absolutely universal. There are many things that make humanity laugh or cry. There are many universal insights about human behavior. So if you work around those, great advertising can be created. And when you have to kind of drill down absolutely local, then you have teams that you work with. So it's not such a big problem. I mean, at this stage, I know I can work anywhere in the world.
Tell me something. Is there anything, you can sing, you can act, I understand you were also a VJ in the first Philips top 10 songs or whatever it is. You've written scripts for other people. I understand you also hinted in a public speech that if somebody had a good script and willing to do some acting. But is there something which you can't do? Something which you're not good at?
Part of the reason that I want to do everything, I want to sing and act, and I was DJ and write and everything, is that I think creativity is all about this. That you indulge in a whole lot of things, and every time you do something, it in a way trains you to do something else better. So if I'm acting, tomorrow I'm going for a pitch presentation, I'm able to act better. Even if my idea is bad, I can sell it as a good idea. Although I was bad at 4G, but maybe good at this presentation.
There's something else you want to speak? Which is, I'm sort of run out of roasting here, so.
I came in around 4:30 or so, and I had a long journey, and I'd spoken at Flame also. So I thought I'll go up to the room and take a quick shower. And in the shower, I realized, so I thought I'll share with you. In the shower, I realized the difference between art and design, fine art and design, in the shower. And you know why? Because the true test of what is art and what is design actually happens in the shower. When you look at the shampoo, shower gel, and conditioner packs, right? Now see, a man works hard, right, through his life. By the time he's like 45, 50, he's in a position that people send him to stay for meetings and all that. He's put up at 5-star hotels, like Sudhir has put us up here, right? We've reached that position. But the problem is, by the time you're 45, 50, eyesight starts to go. And you're inside the shower without your glasses, right? And the shower is happening, right? And these God-forsaken designers, right, of those beautiful shower gel and conditioner and shampoo have got those 5.6 point typeface shower gel, right? And some grey color, and on grey, we print. Now that might have looked really good when they were sitting in the studio designing, right? Youngsters designing with their glasses on, maybe. But when you're in your shower, as it is, you can't see much. And you pick it up, and you go. And that's when you realize that this is what design is. This is art when you use bloody, 8-point type in a shower gel, this thing. And that is art. Graphic design or design is to have 20-point typeface running vertically from down to up, which says shampoo. Right? So through the shower also you see, you say shampoo, and you pick it up. You pick it up beautifully. Otherwise, you know what it does? When you're in the shower and you're looking at that little bottle with the small typeface, that's the first time you realize that you're growing old. And it's you feel vulnerable. You lose all your self-esteem. So this is the difference that I thought in the shower today between art and design. I thought I'll share with you.